What is up, everybody? I am sitting here with production prototypes of Nut Hunt. What that is once you get your files proofed by your manufacturer, you get a digital proof. And a lot of, especially indie publishers, that's sort of the last step where they sign off on the files and then they get them manufactured based on how those look digitally. And I decided that I wanted to see if physically it costs a bit of money, but we're going to be bringing these to like Gen Con, so it's not just like a total throwaway amount. And I wanted to see it actually printed up using our production proofs. These are actually manufactured at our manufacturer at Magi. And the big difference is, there's not a lot. They're your actual print files. They are the actual materials, the varnishes, the cardstock, everything that's planned on being used in the final version. The one difference is that they will laser jet print these instead of inline print, because they don't want to shut down an entire inline print line. But it's the same die line, so if anything, that means that the actual print quality will be a little bit better. The colors will be a little bit sharper, things like that, because inline printing is a little bit better. That's a little blown out. Inline printing is a little bit better than laser jet printing. But otherwise, this is what we actually have planned for the game. And I wanted to get a physical copy. I was planning on sending off our money to get it actually manufactured like last week, but I wanted to wait a week to get the physical version of the game so that I could check it out, make sure that everything is completely on point and completely perfect, and see if we have to change anything. And this is sort of like our last run through of like, is there anything little that has to be changed? Already there might be. You can see the box is a little raised here, which tells me that maybe not everything is fitting perfectly inside. And that would be probably because of the insert or something like that. So let's open it up and take a look. All right, I paused it while I got this plastic started, but let's get this shrink wrap off and look at what this box looks like, what this game looks like on the inside. All right, so really nice coloration. Look at how beautiful that is. Really nice box, 60 millimeter deep box. I think that's absolutely perfect for a game like this. Has a really good feel, good shelf presence, but not being too bulky. So I'm really happy with that. Taking off the top now, let's look inside. All right. Ooh, rulebook. Beautiful rulebook. A really nice sort of page feel. Smooth. A nice stock for it. It's not like super flimsy. It's not like super thick. You don't want something super thick, but it's nice feel. Good feel to it. Good coloration. Look at how like nicely laid out this rule book is. So much like room that if you're looking for like a rule and you're digging around, it's like, oh, it's diagrams, it's call out boxes. You will have no problem figuring out how to play Nut Hunt using this rule book. Really happy with it. A whole FAQ on the back, just to answer your questions a little bit better. So I'm really happy. This rule book looks great. Here come the tiles. All right, so I'm gonna hold this up. So here's the tiles, and it looks like that is probably why the box was bulging a little bit, is because sitting on top of our box insert, they're pushing up a little bit, which is not really what you want, but that's fine. The tiles look absolutely gorgeous. Nice thick 2 millimeters. Look at this back pattern. Really nice back. Really nice tiles. Really nice coloration. I like the finish on these. It's not like completely matte, but it's not too shiny. I'm holding it with like a ring light here, and like they aren't hard to read when I'm moving them around. I don't know if they are on camera, but like in person, they look totally fine, which is really nice, which means it'll be nice and readable on your actual game board. We have 4 pieces of chipboard for our 19 tiles, plus the Fox compass, wherever that Fox compass is. Probably the last one. There's our Fox compass. There we go. So really happy with these tiles. We're gonna punch them out in a minute to see how they fit in the box, but let's keep on going. All right. Oh, I like this insert. Yeah, look at this insert. This is nice. Really nice insert. We have plenty of room for everything. We have 6 wells right here, which is sort of nice for all your meeples to go in. All the meeples, it looks like, yeah, they put all the meeples in one bag, and we'll go through those in a minute. I'll ask them about sorting these, see how much it would cost to sort them, because ideally, it would come ready to play. So I'll ask them what that costs, and then plenty of room for the cards. I really like what Matt Healy did with the trays for the cards. You can see there's these 5 sections for the 4 different types of nut cards, plus the objective cards for them to sit in. And we had some sort of attention to detail with all this. Oh, here's the die, the fox die. So look at that, nice sort of marbled coloring, marbled resin coloring, lovely. And then let's see the attention to detail. Let's see. There you go. The holes in the plastic baggies so that these will not sort of bubble out when you're trying to store meeples in them. Little things like that. So I'm happy that they listened to sort of our detailed instructions and punched little holes in the baggies. And then of course the easy peel shrink wrap on the cards. So let's take a look at these. Yeah, love that easy peel. Just makes it so much easier. It's like a little thing where just a little thing, it doesn't matter that much, but it just is so nice. Oh, these feel nice. All right, get that out of my hand. All right, so these are the nut cards. There's the chestnut, there's the acorn, and I don't know if you can see on camera, but these are linen finish, so there's sort of a little bit of texturing on the surface. And linen finish I love it. Linen finish is like a dimpling on the surface of cards, and different manufacturers will go by different names. You'll have Aeroflow, Pro Glide, but it's all part and parcel to the same thing. It's this texturing on the surface of the cards, and the idea is it's sort of like a golf ball, right, where it increases the aerodynamic nature of the cards and improves the shuffle feel. There'll also be a little bit matter because it's a little textured feel. And the history of the term, the reason why it's called linen finish is because of how these were originally manufactured. So cards are printed in big sheets. They're printed in big sheets, and then they're usually laminated or varnished in big sheets. And then after all that dries, they're cut. So what a linen finish is they, historically, while the varnish was still tacky, they would then run the sheets under these giant linen rollers. And so this sort of hatched patterning is like the traditional linen finish pattern. And they don't use linen rollers anymore. They use other material to give them that sort of texturing, but it's the same exact process. It's when the varnish is tacky, they take the sheets and they roll them through these rollers, and that puts this nice sort of dimpled finish on the surface of the cards to improve the shuffle feel. And so these go right in here. So what's interesting is I was a little worried, given how the box was, that there would be sort of stress points on the insert, and it doesn't look like there are, because the risk is what it looked like was going on was these, and these are the chipboard pieces, right, are sitting, it looks like 3 chipboard pieces. When you sit on top of the insert, 3 chipboard pieces are sitting on top of the box insert and sticking up, which means the top of the box is going to be applying pressure to them and could press down on the box insert. So I am going to reach out to Matt Healy, and it looks like this one shipped fine. It doesn't look like there's stress marks on the insert tray or that it's smushed, but you want to make sure that there aren't going to be. So I'm going to reach out to Matt Healy and see if there's something that we can do about that, if we can reduce this height by a couple of millimeters. And the question is going to be, do we have to reconfigure the whole tray insert, or do we just have to do it this way? Either way, it's going to cost us money. I already obviously paid for the custom tray insert mold to be made. So it's an aluminum mold that then the way the tray is made is aluminum mold, and the plastic is put on it, and then vacuum sealed, so it sucks out all the air and it conforms it to the actual form of the mold. So I'll have to pay for a new mold to be made, assuming that we can get this 6 millimeters shallower, which I feel like is probably the right call. Like, so granted, this copy shipped fine. This copy, the box was a little raised, but there was no stress damage to the insert. But I don't know if I'm confident that that'll always be the case, right? So you can tell how high it is, right? There's 3 that are sticking up above it, and there's 1 that is a little bit below it, a little bit flush / a little bit below it. So it looks like it's about 6 millimeters, right? Because these are 2 millimeters thick, about 6 millimeters that we'd have to drop it. So we have to make sure that it all fits still, and hopefully we won't have to reconfigure it too much. But let's see how these fit first in the actual game, or in the tray, to make sure that we have room for everything and that we don't have to worry about it. So bear with me for a minute while I punch these out. I don't want to move the camera around too much, but I am just throwing these into, there's this like nice hexagonal well inside of the game that these are going into. So I'm just taking my time. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's the only thing is, I want this to get to you perfect. I want this to get to everyone perfect. And the fact that this one was perfect, it doesn't necessarily mean that they all will be. It sort of depends on how, they're freighted and shipped together. They're going to be, obviously pushed up against each other in these, because you don't want to waste too much room in the cartons. So let's see what we can do. All right, so these are all fitting into this well, right? So there's this like well right here that they fit into, and it looks like there is maybe 6 millimeters of excess space in this well, maybe 4 millimeters, right? So we could definitely drop this a couple millimeters, and then we'll have to look at the bottom of the tray insert to see how much room we have on the bottom. It looks like we have some room, right? This is the well that those tiles are in, so this part has a big drop, and then this part is also sort of dropped. Let's see, I don't think, you don't need that depressed part over in the corner to get these out. I'm doing it from the shallow part. So it looks like we have plenty of room to drop this down a little bit, and we can take the whole thing down a couple of millimeters, maybe 6 millimeters, so it all fits really nicely in the box. So I'll be reaching out to Matt Healy about that. Since we're getting things changed with the trays, the only other thing, looking at it just right now off the bat, is we have these 6 wells for the pieces. I do want to get to the rest of the pieces because I want to just focus on the insert. We have these 6 wells for the pieces right now. So they're okay to reach into, right? Like I can reach into them with like 2 fingers and a thumb. Not crazy comfortably, but it's not too bad. Or just scoop out with 2 fingers. You'll probably be putting the meatballs into these plastic bags, and then putting them in these wells. But I'm thinking, just looking at it, that it might be better to just make this one big well. So let me know. I want to start actual manufacturing really, really soon. And I was hoping that this would just come in and just be perfect and good to go, but now I just have a couple of doubts that I want to get looked at. So if you are watching this and you have an opinion on 1 big well or 6 little wells, let me know, because I do still want to get this manufactured as soon as possible. But more important is I want it to be absolutely perfect. And if we have to reduce the depth of the tray insert by a couple of millimeters, that means we have to get a whole new mold made anyway, which means if there's anything else that we need to change with the insert, then we have the flexibility to make those changes. So let's look at the rest of the components though, because so far these components are absolutely on point. The linen finish cards are beautiful. I love the look of the back of this card. If you can see it, it's like these acorns, this like sort of acorn and like other nuts on there, like pecans, it looks like. Pecans and chestnuts. There's all sorts of nuts on here, but it's a nice patterning. So in the game, if someone asks to see what nuts you have to show them. If you have only played this on Tabletop Simulator, which I'm guessing a lot of people have, the nut cards on Tabletop Simulator are reversible. They're the same side, they're the same on both sides, and that's just because on Tabletop Simulator that implementation is easier. But you know, I like having a back, even on resource cards that are public information. I think it is just nicer to have a back to your cards, and you know, who knows what people are going to use their nut cards for. Some people might retcon the rules so that they're a little bit different. You can't see the cards, who knows. But these are lovely. Let's just see how the snap is on these. Right, like the material feels really good, and like this, that's a nice snap. That's a nice snap. This is a nice card. Yeah, this is lovely. Let's look at the rest of the cards. So we have, I like this. So this is the back of the objective cards. This is in shrink wrap, or not in shrink wrap, in the easy peel wrapper, because we got it easy peel. So it's in the peel still. And let's just see. All right. So we have the structure of a turn cards, 5 of these. They look really nice, really readable, and look really good. And then we have our lovely objective cards. So yeah, these look good. I mean, even for it being, you know, this is just nice quality cards. The artwork looks great on them, right? Yeah, the artwork looks great on them. So, you know, the light is shining, but you're going to have these in your hand. And obviously this is a ring light, and it's not very bright in here without the ring light. But yeah, these just look great. They feel really nice. I like this color of the pattern on the back of the card. That is on point. Like, these components are absolutely perfect. And then I really like what Matt did inside of this tray. So there's different wells for the cards, so you can have like your objective cards in one, and then each of the other types of nut cards, the 4 types of nut cards, and the other 4 wells. So that's really nice, a really cool use of space. The game is compact. It's a good use of space. You know, it could obviously fit smaller if you really wanted to get rid of the insert and just cram it all in somewhere. But for this sort of use of space, it's nice, and it still has a really nice shelf presence. So let's look at the meatballs. So they came in one big bag. I'm going to talk to Medjai about if it would be really expensive to get them sorted when they come off the line, because maybe that would be expensive, maybe that's not expensive, and if it's not expensive, I think it would be nicer to have them all in separate baggies. So let's see what they're like, though. All right, pour some out into my hand. Oh, these already look nice. These are already nice just looking at them like this. All right, so you've got your squirrel meeples, you know, nice 8mm thick squirrel meeples. All the squirrels are about 10 by 10 in terms of millimeters on one side, and then 8mm thick. Obviously, they're different shapes, so that's going to vary a little bit based on the squirrel, right? Like this one, this green one, which I love, is a little bit longer and a little bit shorter. And then you have the iconic white squirrel right here. You've got the black squirrels right here, and then I think the only one that we haven't looked at yet is the blue squirrel meeples, which I have one right here. So that's really nice. These are really nice feeling meeples. It's great to have the wooden meeples, and it's nice. I like these paint colors. They're very distinct. They're gonna show up really well against each other and against these tiles, which is really nice. And then these squirrel nests are nice and thick, 10mm thick. So just look at this next to a squirrel. Let's throw those in there. Let's throw these on a tile so you can see it really well. Look at this next to a squirrel, right? Like, that's a nice size difference. And then you can see how sort of thick this is, the difference in thickness. And I don't want to have these fall off, but you can sort of see how this is going to show up just already. Just really nice. Oh no, I dropped them. But really nicely how it's going to show up in the game. So that's really nice. I'm really happy with that. Let's look at the fox. The fox is the last thing that we haven't looked at. So let's check it out. And here it comes. Look at that. Look at how good that looks. It's a little blown out in the light, but look at that screen printing on it. Nice thick 8mm. I mean, look at it next to a squirrel. You know, that fox is demanding of sort of, it's a showstopper. You're gonna see it on the, you know, wherever it is on that board, scattering these squirrels, chasing them around. That is an adorable fox. That is an awesome fox. All right, so I'm really happy. The components are perfect. This print quality is great. The meeples are great. They're well painted. They're nice and thick. A nice feel to them. I'm getting the wooden meeples. So this is great. This is really cool. The only thing, my only concern is this insert, which is too bad because the insert is also the most expensive thing to change because you need to get a whole new mold made. But if we need to, we're going to need to. So I'm just gonna, after this video, take some pictures, talk to Matt about it, see if there's anything to change, right? Just again, looking at this, right? 4 to 6 millimeters of additional depth to sort of make it perfect inside the box and just make sure that we have the room for all the tiles and the components. And then if we are getting this changed anyway, then I might reconsider having these like this depth, sort of, and just have to do one big tray so it's easier to get your hands into it. But if you have an opinion on that, if you want all the, the 5 colors of squirrels and then the fox and the fox dye as separate wells, or if you think it would be cool as one big well, just let me know that thought, right? And looking at the cards, so the cards aren't going to, you aren't really going to want them on end. Like they do fit because they are shallower than the game, but it's also possible if we wanted to make some changes to how the cards are. But I think that this card organizing system is pretty neat in the game, especially if we get like this well as one big well. So if you want to put them in a bag in the well, you can, and if you want to leave them in sort of these slots, then you can do that on your shelf as well. So overall, though, really happy with it. This quality of this print is just like, it's just it's nice, right? Like this box feels sturdy, it feels nice size. Look at those colors, right? Look at that, the front of the box, look at that side of the box. Can you imagine that on your shelf? Like just really nice. So I'm very happy with this. And I'm also really happy that I ordered the production prototypes. Because that's not something that you have to do. A lot of publishers, especially indie publishers, do not order the production prototypes if it's a Kickstarter game. And I'm happy that it did because, I do have very slight concerns over that insert that I want to talk through with Matt. And so, it's too bad on the one hand because I was planning on sending the money off as soon as I sort of got these and got to feel them and figure them out so we could just actually start the print run because I'm very anxious to get this into your hands as fast as possible. But more important is that we want it really perfect. So if it looks like we have to make a couple of small tweaks and get a new vacuum tray mold made, then we have to make a couple of small tweaks and get a new vacuum tray mold made. And that is why we ordered these, not only to show them off at conventions, but also so that we can make sure that it is absolutely perfect. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you want to see any of the components sort of up close or look at them a little bit more. Let me know what you think about that well in the tray insert, or if there's anything else that sort of caught your eye that you're like, hey Jasper, maybe think about tweaking that or changing that. And I'm excited. I wish I could send the money off right now, right this instant, because I'm really anxious to get these into your hands as soon as possible. But again, more important is that they are absolutely perfect. And you can see now that those that the chipboard is out, like how flush that sits. That's how we want it to sit when it's shipping, because otherwise you're putting stress on the internal components of the box, on that tray insert. You don't want that tray insert. The tray insert is a lot weaker than the walls of a box, especially when they're doubled up like this. So you don't want that undue stress. And so you really want it to be flush like this when you're actually freighting your game, thousands and thousands of miles across the world to get it into your hands.